Welcome to the Hope College Athletics Orange and Blue podcast. My name is Alan Babbitt, Sports Information Director at Hope College. Glad to come to you each week with interviews with Hope College coaches and administrative staff and down the road some student athletes as well as we talk about the Orange and Blue and in this unusual time, but a lot of positives going on this campus and particularly with our athletic teams as they make the most out of an unprecedented fall and certainly one we'll not forget about for a long time. But with me today, head football coach Peter Stuursma. Thanks for coming today, Coach, and certainly not a fall you would ever have dreamed or expected of. But just take me through with you guys and your team, how you've been approaching this as you are able to gather as a team and to make the most out of this COVID impacted fall.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Alan, for having me. And if I may, I'll go back to when we learned about this in March. And, that Coach Hawken and Coach Ricketts and I were visiting Western Michigan University for one of their spring practices. And we were sitting in their meetings, and we vividly remember they put the schedule up for the weekend. And it was a big question mark. They didn't know what was the weekend was going to hold. And we drove back to Holland, Michigan that day. It's a Thursday. That afternoon, the NCAA tournament canceled. The next day, things just started clicking and rolling faster and faster. And the velocity of changes that occurred during that time were incredible. So I guess what I'm getting at is since that time, we've said, let's try to make decisions with what we know and the information we have in front of us. And I have 100% appreciated and respected our administration, led by Matt Scogan, our president, of course, our athletic director, and Tim Schoonveld, and our entire staff, that we just said, let's try to make decisions with the information we had. We did not start canceling football games last spring. We said, let's make decisions in June and July and then in August. And of course, now we're here, with the idea that we started school very early, August 17th. That would have been the second week of our two-a-day practices or in our fall camp, if you will. And so what have we done? How have we adjusted? It's been, I give our guys a lot of credit for, I think, being really resilient during this very challenging time because, we always say that uncertainty creates fear. And when you're uncertain about what's going to happen in the future, you start to get worried and anxious. And I think our guys, certainly we have that. We have that as the coaching staff, that uncertainty. But what we've tried to really do is plan as a way of saying, we're going to worry about today, we're going to worry about tomorrow. Going into a fall camp, we would have had 17 pages of detailed organizational type things in a schedule, in a Google form. That is, as you have noticed, that's our schedule. And it's 7:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night with meetings and all the things and meals and when they're going to take breaks. Well, we made a decision. Let's worry about it week by week because we have had to be, we've had to have those opportunities where we change quickly. We've had to move fields. We had to start out very slow from the standpoint of we were just in helmets and T-shirts. We were on separate fields for a few weeks. Then we were able to go on the same field but at different times where the offense would go first and they would practice for an hour and 25 minutes and the defense would come on and we'd exit the offense off the field and enter the defense on the field. And to the point where we are now where we're able to wear shells, have a practice that looks like a football practice. And in summary of your question, Alan, probably the biggest challenge is that I feel for our guys is that you play the game of football to play for those Saturdays in the fall. I mean, it's one of the greatest traditions of our country is the pageantry of college football. I would also tell you that one of the greatest things is Friday Night Lights in the high school football as we watch them play. And then, of course, we're not able to play. It makes it for a challenge, and we don't see that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for our players. But they're just doing a great job of trying to get acclimated to not only, and I think this helps the freshmen, they're acclimating themselves as a student athlete and not just an athlete. They're acclimating themselves as a student. And when it comes to football, they're able to pick up on some of the things that we're doing offensively and defensively without having that 3-week, I better get it going right now if I want to get on this field in a quick way. So the net result of what your question is, I think, is number one, I feel for our guys. I really do. I feel like it. There's times when I think, this is hard. This is really hard because we're practicing football, not playing. But yet I also know that they have some obviously wonderful opportunities to be a student athlete here at Hope College. And I feel for our coaches, but they're doing a great job along with our players and just, we're hanging in there. And that's, I guess, the best thing I could sum it up with.
Obviously tough for a lot of reasons, not having that Saturday and that special event, and some of the other different alterations they have. What would you say a positive that you've gained out of this time that you will take with you forward, that's been a boost that you maybe not would have otherwise experienced had things been normal?
Yeah, I would say we, prior to COVID and prior to us being shut down in March, we really made a goal of ours as a staff to start recruiting the 2021s and earlier. So prior to shutting down, we had 25 to 30 visits on campus. We had a basketball game in which our recruits visited, and again, that was 2021s. And then fast forward into that COVID opportunities, we just decided, hey, if we're going to all be in this situation, let's try to do it better than our competition. And so we were involved in some 80 plus Zoom meetings, and that provided us, and those were not group meetings, those were individual meetings with student athletes, their parents, family members. We had a virtual tour that was led through our campus and actually narrated. And I think that helps to just talk through what we're doing here. So I would say that was an advantage. I would say, just from a personal standpoint, I think my wife and family members have seen more of me in the time of fall than ever before. My youngest son, Mitchell, has taken up golf. I played golf for the first time after August 1 in my entire life. During the fall, my wife, Amy, will say, why you have that strange look? I said, I didn't know what people did on Saturday in the fall. It was just, I've always coached football, whether it's, playing as a player. Saturdays were filled up with workouts and things like that. And then as a coach, even at the high school level, we had Saturdays that were filled with meetings and lifting and things like that. And of course, being here at Hope in college football is Saturdays are work days. And so I've never really noticed what people did. It's kind of fun to watch, so that's been an advantage from a personal standpoint. And I don't know, sometimes my wife and kids would probably say, I don't know, it's so great to have you around, Dad, with all your energy on Saturdays. But I mowed my lawn for the first time in the fall. That's always been something that one of our kids has picked up. I like mowing the lawn, but obviously from a time standpoint, hasn't been able to do it. So that's been a real positive. I think at the end of the day, though, it's not about me. It's not about about personally what I feel. I really want our guys to feel like, okay, we've made some progress here in a program. They've made progress personally, and that we have or see or start to visualize a light at the end of the tunnel here.
Obviously, you guys showed a lot of progress last season, an outstanding campaign, capturing the MIAA championship and advancing to the NCAA playoffs. I know that was a goal of you got here. That's what you wanted to do and bring back to Hope College football. Now that you're there, how is the challenge? Is it evolved, or is it the same approach as when you were first started and trying to, become MIAA champion? Because each season's unique.
Yeah, and I don't mean to correct you, but we're not there. We never will be there. We've never arrived at that situation. And so when we took over here at Hope, I think the ultimate goal is to win a national championship and graduate every one of our players. And that's always going to be our ultimate goal, and that we want to build young men into contributing members of society, great dads, great husbands, and doing great things in the world. And that's not going to change. And so to get to where we wanted to get to last year, I mean, what I looked at we had a bunch of players that decided that it was their time. They were going to compete every single day in and day out, practice games, what have you. And it was that was our first freshman class. And to see that to fruition was really about them. It was about their achievements and their accomplishments. That trophy, I still haven't touched it with my bare hands and don't plan to, because that was about them. And a lot of assistant coaches, when you talk about our staff, you look at Andrew Hawkins, the offense coordinator, Mike Ricketts as our defensive coordinator. You have Dan Margits as our strength and conditioning coordinator. Mike Lapchek as our special teams coordinator. And then you add in all of the staff, and Jim Caserta and Mike Steffen and Jake Vanderveen and Dave Geekus and, as I mentioned, Coach Margritz and the new this year, Coach Lidgard, Coach Manning. These guys do great things for our players, not only on the field but off of the field. They really truly connect with them. And then I always feel like a part of our staff is our athletic trainers and Tim Caberna and Sal and our equipment manager Gordo and our managers Joey and we can't have our entire staff together. We're missing Sturk and Tice as our managers and filmers and clock operators during practice because we've had to just close down our organization from a bubble standpoint. And so To answer your question, truly, Alan, that was a great accomplishment for our players. That was a great shot in the arm for our program and for Hope College. But there's a lot more to accomplish here. And if you recall, Wartburg handled us pretty well in that game one of the 32 teams that were left competing for a national championship, and they beat us fair and square. They beat us. They outcoached us to start with. They beat us physically. They were better prepared. We look at our National Player of the Year candidate, Mason Apple, and they had a lot of Mason Apples, and our guys had a valiant effort and a great effort. But that's just a stepping stone, and I think you talk to our guys who graduated last year, they'd say, okay, that's great. Where are we going now? And that's always that constant improvement that I think that we seek day in and day out in this program. That's as long as I'm here, that's what we're going to look to do, is improve every single day. Improve every single day. We've been given a great opportunity to improve today. And I would say in particular with COVID, Alan, we've really had to learn to worry about today, because we can plan and be, incredibly proactive about what's going on, but tomorrow might change. And today might change, So that's what we're focused on as a staff. This morning we talked about that. Like how can we improve today at practice? How can we up the ante and up the energy level and up the competition level? That's our focus, and that always will be. Real proud of our players and our coaches, but there's a lot more to be accomplished here at Hope College football.
I know with that, does it help to have, obviously, as you say, things can change, but right now there's a plan in place and a schedule that you look at, and, against MIAA teams that you'd love to go, 5-0, 1-0 each week. Just talk about the spring and how you're building toward that, what you hope to get out of that experience. Again, it won't be the fall, but it's still a chance to compete against, MIAA schools and prepare yourselves, for next fall.
Yeah. I laugh with our players because, of course, one of the best NBA players in the world, Allen Iverson, always said, we're talking about practice. Well, in a lot of ways, that's what we are talking about, because the NCAA has given us 114 days of competition. And when I say competition, of the opportunity for us to be together during the 2020-21 school year. So that's practice, that's weight training in season, that's competition games in the spring. And so what we're trying to do is balance that out. And so, we're going to hit that 40, 45 opportunities here this fall, with the idea that when we leave here after Thanksgiving, our players are done with final exams. They go into that off-season conditioning program. And that is the sole purpose, to come back ready to roll in January. And then we have a finite amount of time to get prepared for our March 19th, 20th opener of 5 games. So to have that out there, of course, it's refreshing. And even in this fall, we have had some things that I think everybody could say, okay, we're getting a little bit of an opening here. We see a little bit of an opportunity. I don't mean a crack. I mean an opportunity where we're starting to feel like we're normally practicing. When you see our players put their shoulder pads on, we don't have full pads on, we're just going shells. That's kind of fun to watch. And you hear the little bit of a crack of the pad, and you're like, okay, that's nice. And I have to, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that the way our college, again, led by Matt Scogan as our president, and, and our team of 5 that have led this entire COVID really response from our college, right down to the athletic trainers, our doctors in the Ottawa County Health Department. We have been working in lockstep day in and day out. Are we doing the right things? Are we monitoring the right things? Are there things that we can evaluate and change, for the better? It's not just like, oh, we just hope like it works. No, they really are making sure that it works. And we're not perfect by any stretch, but I would tell you that I've read a lot of articles about schools that are doing it well. I'm hard pressed to find one that's doing it as well as what Hope College is, from an overall management of our students and student athletes on this campus. That doesn't mean we don't have things we can't get better at. That doesn't mean there aren't things that you look at and go, why are we doing that? No, I think all in all, you can give that a high mark as to how we're doing it. So in saying that, you do get a hint of what's happening and what's going on. At the end of the day, we don't generate $100 million like the Big Ten does in football for each school. And so when you look at that and you look at we were one of the last leagues in the United States to play Division III football that ended our season. So I give our league and the presidents to say, hey, we were trying to hang on, and our commissioners, they were trying to hang on, but it just became very apparent and evident that it was not going to happen. And so to have a plan in place and get ready to roll, and hopefully we can make that spring an awesome opportunity for our players. And of course, with our seniors, we have a number of our guys that have already said we're coming back. And so we're not going to mess with their eligibility. The NCAA has said that that's going to be the case by playing 50% of the season at this point.
Another sign of the excitement that's around this program, the recent announcement of the donation from Jim and Eileen Heeringa for a new locker room building at Ray and Sue Smith Stadium. Obviously pending approval from our Board of Control, but an exciting announcement and a wonderful generosity that'll be used not only by the football program, but several teams as well, the athletic department here. Just, I know you've been involved with that. What is the Heeringa's generosity mean to you and in this football program?
Alan, that's a hard question to answer. Because it's an easy question to answer, but it's a challenging one from this sense. It's just so unbelievable. It's just really mind-boggling to think that a family can just be so generous and just so unbelievably giving and caring for an institution like Hope College. And to sit with Jim and Eileen on so many occasions and just be able to talk with them about what they're about and what their passion in life is about and the things that they're so much about, so caring. And I just am so honored and humbled and privileged to be a part of that. I think what has come of that, and again, as you said, that's all, of course, pending the Board of Trustees approval on this project. But what has resonated from that was the opportunity to connect with many people, from an alumni standpoint, to really be on the ground floor of this thing, and that it's an opportunity for our student athletes to have something that's right there, that's going to be state of the art, that's going to be 15 feet from our field, where not only our student athletes and coaches and athletic training staff and equipment staff can all call home, but something that we can, as a student body and as a college, can really be a gem on campus. As you and I walk around this campus, we look around and certainly, we can talk about the bricks and the mortar. At the end of the day, it's about the people and about the memories that are created within those facilities. But to have a facility that's going to be the Hope way, the Hope tradition, the Hope sign of excellence, and the things that it's going to provide, to me is really neat. And I think if all things go as planned, you're going to see some things happening very, very quickly here this fall, and this will impact generations to come. But just when you talk about Jim and Eileen and what that family has meant to us in the Heeringa name, and it's a name you see around town, the Hollick Civic Center. You see it on our tennis facility. You know that it's a really, really neat connection, and not only connects their family with Hope College, but it connects the college with their family and the greater community of Holland.
Yeah, their care for student athletes, I would be remiss not to mention that part of that donation to help our dance department and upgrade the offerings there as well, in addition to athletics. So a big thank you to the Heeringas for that donation. I know Hope College obviously has a special place in your heart, Peter, as you were a student athlete here, and then now I've been coaching at an assistant, and then went on to a successful high school coaching career at East Grand Rapids, and then returning to your alma mater. You're taking on a little bit of different role this year. This is the first year you're going to have 2 children as students here, and also 1 student athlete. Your son, Robbie, will be playing baseball for Stu Fritz and the Flying Dutchmen. Your daughter, Hannah, is a junior now in her junior year at Hope. How has that impacted to be a dad on top of being a coach? Because those are 2 totally separate. There's similarities, but there's a lot of differences between those 2 responsibilities.
For sure. I'll start with Hannah as a junior going into her junior year. Certainly this is very, very different than she would have ever expected. And of course, what we've learned through this, Alan, is this is really challenging for our upperclassmen because they know what Hope is about. They know what it's like. And to go through this COVID thing that we're going through right now, it's not what we want. It's not what we any of us signed up for. But, they're very resilient. She's very resilient. But it's been really great to see her go through that journey to figure out where she wanted to go and what she wanted to do. And she has just absolutely loved Hope and what it has been able to offer her. And she was a student athlete in high school and just decided she didn't want to play in college. And, to be honest with you, as a dad, I was totally fine with that because I know the commitment level it takes to play college sports. And it's really, she would be the one getting up at those early times, and she was a tennis player, to go hit tennis balls. She'd be the one traveling to tennis tournaments. And so I really I really felt at peace with the fact that that decision was about her and what she wanted to do with that. And, and then fast forward, of course, to this year as Robbie Stuursma was entering into a freshman year here, and, honored and privileged he can play the game he loves, the game of baseball, and play for a dear friend in Stu Fritz. I was on the student committee as a student athlete here that hired Stu Fritz as the baseball coach. And so obviously we've had a long, connection with Stu. And yet I also know that and Stu and I have talked about this, Robbie and I've talked about it. At the end of the day, Stu Fritz is going to play the best nine on the team, the best nine in the program. He's going to pitch the best pitchers. He's going to, bring the best relievers, and he's going to play the best. And, Robbie understands that. This is college baseball and college sports, but it's awful nice to be able to have, I can hear the bats hitting the balls out there as we're practicing, and all of a sudden I see the team leave and Robbie walks by and waves. That's neat. And I also am very, very conscious of the fact that I want this experience to be about them, to have their experience and to have their 4 years of college be theirs, not mine. I've already done that. Amy and I have already gone through our college days. Wish we were a lot younger to go back and do it again, but it's theirs. It's their experience, and they have to find their niche, and they have to find the things that are positive and negative, and they have to learn from the things that don't go well, and the choices and the decisions and all the things that go into it. It's theirs. That's not something that we have to let them kind of fly and as they say, fly, be free, and enjoy that college experience. But I've had so many people say, how lucky are you that you get to go to work every day into a campus that your kids go to school in? And I say, I feel very lucky, but yet I also don't stop by and see them every day. You don't stop by and see me every day, but there's just that time when all of a sudden I'll get a text like, hey, Dad, want to go to lunch? I'm like, yep, we're going. And I've joked with Matt Scogan. I'm like, hey, I might have a meeting with you as the president, but if my son or daughter calls to go to lunch, I'm out. And he kind of laughed, but it's the way I feel about it. I feel very lucky, but I also feel like they need to have that opportunity to enjoy the college experience from their perspective.
I'd say President Hogan, probably Matt recognizes that, and it's going to be coming too with 3 kids himself. There's going to be, it'll be fun to watch him as he continues to lead the college and has that family life continue to build. I'd imagine I would be curious about, with your role and your lens right now as a dad, on your recruiting. And I have to imagine you have a pretty unique and crystal focus on what a parent is thinking right now as they are trying to help their child decide where they want to go and invest, the next 4 or 5 years of their life. How is being a dad right now of college-age students impacted or altered or whatever with your as far as your recruiting?
Yeah, well, and first of all, I as a parent, as a dad, I have a perspective. I don't have the answers. I only have a perspective. And, when I was a middle school principal, I used to talk to parents a lot about what it's like with their kids at school and how much fun it is to be around them. But I also wanted to make sure that I was never going to, I'm not giving parenting lessons. I'm not going to give any type of lessons. All I'm going to do is take a perspective. But the perspective has been interesting for me to watch and observe, certainly as I get older. I think part of that's just with experience, but watching my son go through the process from a baseball standpoint, watch Hannah go through the process, our daughter, when it comes to tennis and and those kinds of things. And then our youngest son, Mitchell, is, he's really started to enjoy the game of golf, and he still plays on the hockey team there, and he's really enjoying the game of golf. And to watch that has been very unique. And I guess what it does is it makes me take a step back and realize this. It still is, at the end of the day, parents are sending their student athletes, and in this case, football, to us, and they're entrusting us to take care of their sons. And I guess one of the most powerful statements I can make to a parent is that I'm going to take good care of your son. If he skins his knees, I'm going to put a Band-Aid on it. If he gets tripped up or falls up or makes a mistake, we're going to help him work through it. If it gets hard, we're going to tell him to pick himself up and get going again, because I think that's life. That's what I want for coaches and mentors and professors to do with our children. And I think so many parents out there just want that. They want their son or daughter to have a great experience. They want them to be treated fairly. They want them to be pushed. They want them to be motivated. They want to know that someone cares. They want to know that they're going to put their arm around and say, I love you, but let's get going. And that we have a job to do, that we have balance, that we teach the right things, that we show the right, the things that are important. Family is important. It's important to me. I know it's important to so many of our guys. I also know that, in the things that we are going through in our society around us, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do in building our team and building the culture of our team. so that everybody has a voice and everybody has a place to stand. And we have to be great listeners. And that's something I've really challenged myself on, is be a better listener. Don't try to answer that question before they've really truly asked it. There are some things that's just, yep. If you ask me, Peter, do I need to stop at the stop sign? Yes, you need to stop at the stop sign. I think we know that. But I need to be a better listener. I need to make sure that our student athletes have a voice. We need to make sure that we're doing things with this time that we have that's a little bit different than normal falls, is making sure that we are seeing our guys in a different perspective and that they are taking care of their studies. One of the things we prided ourselves on is that on a weekend in a given fall, 96% of our student athletes stay on campus. Well, during the times that we're in now, I don't think we're at that high. I don't know. I don't have any research to support it, but I think we've got to continue to find ways to have our students and our student athletes engaged to what we're doing on campus. And that's challenging because we can't get everybody together at once. And we can't, we haven't been able to have team meetings. We can do Zoom. We can do our meetings in the stadium. We can do our practices and things of that nature. But really sitting down in a meeting room in person, which I'm such a big proponent in, we haven't been able to do that. Alan, you were a guest speaker of our team on every single year. We'd bring in business leaders. We'd bring in coaches, other mentors, pastors, lawyers, doctors, teachers. We'd bring in so many different perspectives because I believe in the perspective of our students and gaining that perspective as I believe that's such a part of our entire experience here at Hope College. And so, that's given me as a parent, a perspective when we have student athletes in. I think at the end of the day, parents want to know that their son will be treated fairly and with respect. And that's away from them. They're going to have people going to love up on them and push them to be the very best that they can.
I know that obviously the game of football and coaching follow-up means a lot to you, and investing and giving back to the game. You do a lot of that with the American Football Coaches Association. Talk about your role with the AFCA and how you see that group helping every football team manage these challenging times.
Yeah, I've served on a number of committees throughout. I was on the All-American committee that chose the All-American teams, and been on the head coaches committee and things of that nature for Division III. And what I've learned is that there are so many differences in Division III, and there's, of course, so many similarities. Like, for example, you take Division I BCS schools, they're pretty much offering the same thing. Full scholarship, play on Saturdays in front of 1 million people and, on TV, and then, of course, sold out stadiums and state-of-the-art facilities. Division III is not always that same thing. You might be playing in a different region, of course, of the country, but with different fan bases. You might be playing some have, streaming games, some aren't. Some have radio stations all over, some don't. Some, have significantly larger stadiums than others. Some have different financial aid packages. Though we all can't offer athletic scholarships, there's very different financial perspectives. And so that's been a really neat learning opportunity. I've also learned that, there's some incredibly talented coaches out there and some incredibly talented student athletes that play Division III football. When you look at, if you were to come out and look at our offensive line right now, our right tackle 6'8" and 295, our left tackle 6'5" and a half and 312. And then you have, the up front, they go 260 and 280 up front, and wow, those are big, strong, fast, tough dudes. And so I've learned that, call it what you want, it's college football. And so I've been able to gain that perspective. And then what's been really helpful is since COVID has really kicked in, there's been a group of about 25 to 26 of us that have met a few times a month during this time on Wednesdays to really talk about ideas, to talk about things that are going on. And I knew coming into late July, I saw some things going the wrong way when it came to the numbers of Division III schools that were dropping. In a lot of ways, it was due to the testing that was going to be suggested, not mandated, but suggested, and that testing is expensive. Again, but that's where I will tip my hat to Hope College. They have just put the students and the student athletes first to give them the very best opportunity to compete. And when Matt Scogan said, you know what, we will take care of the testing, we'll make sure that it happens, that you just can't help but take a step back and say that is what Hope College is about. They've made a commitment to our guys, and we've had guys, in the times that they've been here, tested a minimum 3 times and many as 5 and 6 times on this campus. And, with the testing that they're doing of our sewage water and dorms and things of that nature, to the surveillance testing of our student population every single day, to our student athlete surveillance testing, 25% of our student athletes every day. They're putting their money where their mouth is. And again, I tip my head. I know it just sounds so cliche, but it's just that needs to be recognized and realized that our college is giving our kids and our student athletes the very best opportunity to compete. And so, I feel like the work that the national committees do gives us a great way to look and say, okay, we're doing it well. Or, hey, have we thought of this? And to be able to bounce in ideas and use them as sounding boards has been really phenomenal.
Well, thank you, Peter. It's good luck the rest of this semester. We're getting close. Students have done a great job so far, and again, the goal was to be in person for this semester, and we're getting closer to that Thanksgiving goal. So appreciate your time. Look forward to watching you guys compete in the spring. It just, like I said, as you mentioned earlier, it just feels weird not having hearing the cheering from the crowd, scoring a Hope College touchdown on that nice video board. But we're going to have some fun in the spring and certainly create some more memories too. So appreciate Peter, and good luck the rest of the fall.
Thanks a lot, Alan. Go Hope.